started Cedar Valley House Concerts in 2008, so going on 9 years this August, and started here in this house. We had just bought the house, and I had been trying to convince my husband I needed to open a venue, and he didn't really like that idea, nor did we have the means to really do that. And at the same time, coincidentally, a friend was doing a 50 Houses in 50 States tour. His name was Elliot Morris, and he was a musician out of Birmingham and had just been dropped from his label, so wasn't wanting to play venues. And we set him up here, and after that, decided we're gonna keep doing this. So one night we walked into the Hub, and Marcus Chelson had some friends playing that night. Eli Kilberg was one of them, and we walked up to him afterwards and said, "You're gonna do a house concert for us too." And he said, "Okay."
From there, the house concerts have become a regular tradition, bringing in more and more talent.
We reached out to Ari Hest in 2009, more or less on a dare from a friend who was a big fan.
And yeah, that's when I met Doris a good 8 years ago now.
And he replied right away and said he'd love to do a house show and was passing through. I think he mentioned it to a few other people. Musicians travel in circles, so word just kind of spread from there.
Soon, the artists began approaching her, asking to stop by while passing through Iowa. A free place to stay while on tour in exchange for a casual performance was much appreciated.
We put ourselves out there as a place for artists who are traveling from larger venues to stop over in between. If they have like a night off, they'll stay here. We're northeast Iowa, kind of in the middle of all these larger cities, and no one really passes through and stays intentionally. Initially, the first show that we had with Elliot Morris, that was just, appetizers and the show, and then they left. And we were like, this needs to be more convenient for artists. What's going to make them actually stop here? So we provide dinner, a guest room, laundry, anything they need, and then they do just an acoustic show. They don't need to load in all their equipment. And next morning, if we're not working that day, we'll even give them breakfast. Give them a little space and a home-cooked meal in the middle of the tour.
As the number of visiting musicians has grown over the years, so has the series, bringing in other homes within the Cedar Valley to guest host the artists. Some have even joined the network on a more regular basis as co-hosts.
Jonna, actually, I had come across her at different events, didn't really know her, knew she was a local artist, but she showed up to one of the house concerts.
So I knew I was going to purchase this house, and this is one of the reasons I purchased this house, is so I could entertain more and host events and art festivals and things like that. So I inquired with her if she needed more venues and more places to host, and she was super excited.
And I said, okay, where do you live? Let's do it. And then come to find out, she lives 3 blocks from me, which is great, because the artists who always knew that they were just going to play this house, they liked our location. So when I explained it's still in the same town, we're just kind of bumping you around to different homes, then that worked out really well. Kelly, same thing. She just happened to come to a show and said she wanted to start helping out and wanted to see how she could get involved. She'll host the livelier shows where sometimes those will actually plug in, and we've only actually in this house only had one person ask to plug in. So the acoustics here are pretty good. Jonna's are really good.
And each house brings their own style to the program, inviting artists according to the host's individual taste.
I think we balance each other really well, and the different styles of music and the different houses.
It's what we like. Each house is what we like, is what we host. And that's where the co-hosts come in really nicely, because I tend to host the singer-songwriters who are in their late 20s up through their early 50s. Kelly would be more pop, and definitely plugged in keyboards. She usually hosts the female artists. And Jonna focuses a lot on the local Iowa artists.
I try to get the young kids that are playing here in town, and my kids were always into music, being in bands, and started going to go see all these kids and getting to know them really well and wanting to host them and have them over, And they're such great kids, and they work so hard at it. I'm always so proud of them. So much talent in this area. So much talent. I mean, music transcends all ages, obviously, and it's fun to introduce my friends to some of the younger music, and they usually just leave thrilled.
And the house concerts offer an experience not readily found in typical music venues.
We still like to go to the local music venues, obviously, and see like the full shows and have a great time. These are more an intimate experience.
It's very rarely do I find somebody that actually prefers to be in like a bar watching a gig to this.
People at a house concert are genuinely listening to the lyrics and understanding the whole song.
There's no barrier between you and anybody who's watching you, and it actually makes for a more personal experience for both myself and for them.
And we'll get Grammy-winning musicians in here that are just phenomenally talented, and you get to meet the musicians and get to know them and buy their album and get it autographed, and it's a really unique, intimate experience.
I kind of like that. I like showing up, just kind of seeing what my surroundings are going to dictate as far as how I'm going to play and how it's going to feel when I'm up there.
In the end, the goal isn't to make a profit. A minimum donation is suggested for each concert, but all of the proceeds simply go straight to the performer.
And they get all the money from their merchandise. We don't want money.
All of us have full-time jobs, so this is just kind of a fun way to show how much we appreciate music and share it.
We just want to help the musicians, and that's what we get out of it. Nothing that we gain out of it except the pure love and enjoyment of doing it. Showing the musicians that we appreciate them and
letting them know that we're here and, putting Iowa on the map in a sense.
All this is people wanting to hear music, and who cares if there's a stage and the lighting is a little bit more like a house instead of a venue.
For the most part, the series' success has been driven by word of mouth. And while this may seem like an exclusive underground venue you have to know the right people to get into, that couldn't be further from the truth.
We try to get everybody here, but it's not intentionally underground. Everybody's welcome.
Well, right now, I think we're booked all the way through November. I don't put them up on the website until maybe a month before. So now there's only, I think, 3 at a time on there. And if you just Google Cedar Valley House Concerts, it's much easier to find. Our Facebook page always has everything updated on it.
I love having a full house and standing room only. That's my ideal evening.
We've had as high as 52 people actually in this location, and that worked really well. We had a few people standing, which is fine. We had one that was just like 9 people showed up, but we still had a great time. The artist was thrilled because he had a good dinner and got to do his laundry in the middle of a tour, so.
It's awesome to provide them with a place to sleep and, just trying to help them out when they're out on the road. I love everything about the house concerts. I'm thrilled to be on board. I love doing it. And the musicians really like it too.
Thank you.